In a vast green meadow, where the wind whispered through the tall grass, there lived a young lion. But this lion was different. He didn't roar. He lived among a flock of sheep. He walked like them, ate like them, and over time he even learned to fear like them. From the earliest days he could remember, he believed one simple, unwavering truth. I am a sheep. So when danger appeared on the horizon, he ran. When shadows danced in the twilight, his heart pounded in his chest. Though he was bigger, though he was stronger, he kept his head low, his eyes to the ground, because that's what sheep do. Day after day, he watched the flock panic at the smallest, most insignificant sound. A falling leaf, a distant bird call, a rustle in the bush. And without even realizing it, he began to copy them, his instincts buried under a layer of learned fear. No one ever told him he was powerful. No one showed him who he truly was. His reflection was lost in the sea of wool around him. One afternoon, as the sun began to dip low, casting long golden shadows across the meadow, an old wise lion wandered near. He was traveling, his fur the color of dust and his eyes holding the wisdom of 1,000 sunsets. He stopped. He stared. Something was profoundly wrong with the picture before him. A lion, a creature of immense power and pride, walking with the timid gait of a sheep. The old lion stepped closer, his movements slow and deliberate, not wanting to startle the flock. He approached the young lion, his voice a low, gentle rumble. "Why do you live like this?" he asked, his gaze steady and kind. "Why do you hide your strength among the weak?" The young lion, startled by the direct question, looked down at his own paws, avoiding the old lion's piercing eyes. "Because this is who I am," he mumbled, his voice barely a whisper. "I am a sheep." The old lion did not laugh. He did not argue or mock him. He simply nodded, a deep understanding in his eyes, and said, "Come with me." Intrigued and a little afraid, the young lion hesitated for a moment, then followed. They walked in silence, away from the constant bleating of the flock, until they reached a quiet, hidden pond. The water was perfectly still, not a single ripple on its surface. It was like a flawless mirror, reflecting the clear blue sky and the trees that lined its edge. The old lion gestured with his head towards the water. "Look," he commanded gently. The young lion, full of apprehension, leaned forward. He peered into the pond and froze, his breath caught in his throat. Because staring back at him was not the familiar timid face of a sheep. It was a lion, strong, powerful shoulders, a mane just beginning to grow, sharp, intelligent eyes, a presence that commanded respect. He saw a king, not a follower. "This is who you are," the old lion said, his voice resonating with certainty. "You were never weak. You were never small. You were only unaware of your own power. You let the world around you define you, instead of looking within." Something deep inside the young lion began to stir. A warmth spread through his chest, a forgotten strength surged into his legs. A voice, long silent and suppressed, started to wake up from a deep slumber. It was a feeling of homecoming, of recognizing a part of himself he never knew existed. The old lion stepped back, giving him space. "Now," he said, his voice a bit louder this time, "roar." The young lion took a deep breath. He opened his mouth, but only a small, pathetic squeak came out, like the bleat of a lamb. He tried again. The sound grew deeper, a low growl that rumbled in his chest. He felt the vibration, the raw power coiling within him. He closed his eyes, focused on the image he saw in the water, on the feeling of strength that was now undeniable. And then a mighty, earth-shattering roar burst from his chest. The ground trembled. The very air shook with its force. In the meadow, the sheep scattered in absolute terror, a wave of white wool fleeing from a sound they had never heard before. But the lion did not run. For the first time in his life, he stood his ground. He stood tall. He stood as himself. That day, the lion did not suddenly become strong. He didn't magically become brave or powerful. He simply remembered who he had always been. The strength was there all along, buried under years of doubt and conformity. This story isn't just about a lion. Maybe it's about you. Maybe you've been living smaller than you are, doubting your strength, silencing your voice, not because you are actually weak, but because somewhere along the way, someone or something made you believe that you were. Maybe you've been surrounded by sheep who taught you to be afraid of your own shadow. But deep inside you, there is a roar waiting to be unleashed. There is a power you haven't yet claimed. The world might have tried to convince you that you are a sheep, but your reflection tells a different story. And the moment you stop listening to the flock and start listening to that voice inside, the moment you recognize who you truly are, everything changes. It's time to find your pond. It's time to look at your reflection, and it's time to roar. Thank you so much for watching. If this story resonated with you, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel for more content that helps you remember your own strength. We'll see you in the next one.